AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's ride!
Hour 3, off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
You sir. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. 5 o'clock quitting time. Glad you are driving home with us. Every Tuesday, we get a chance to visit with Sean Salisbury. You can get him on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, at Sean Unfiltered. Of course, catch him on YouTube as well there with Unpaved. Sean, it's always a pleasure, man. How are you?
I'm well. Good to be on with you, Matt. Thank you.
Of course, we always appreciate it. Trade deadline came and went a few hours ago. And the Saints shipped Rashid Shaheed to Seattle and Trevor Penning out to L.A. with the Chargers. So, Sean, what that means now is that for the rest of this season, Tyler Shough, I assume will start the remainder of the season, will get an evaluation without his best weapon and with an offensive line that's down now 3 starters. So, what really can we make of evaluating Tyler Shough with this offense?
Well, evaluate him on the beating he's going to take and how he keeps standing and coming back, I guess.
Yeah.
You're not going to get a lot of, okay, plug him in. Here's what he gets with this kind of roster. And, they didn't have much of a chance this year, quite frankly, Matt, with the guys they did before they traded. It'll test him, and he's going to get a chance to show his stuff. There's a positive and a negative, at least for him. The negative is you don't have a whole lot of weapons. You don't have a very good team. And quarterbacks are judged by the wins and losses. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure how you can do that with anybody at that position on this team this year. You're looking for progress. It's not going to be W's and L's. It's going to be, okay, what they do within what we have, because in truth, you're kind of lining up, and I mean this a little hyperbolic, but you're lining up with a Saturday team playing on Sundays. You just are. It's a minor league team that has to show up, play against major leaguers that have been hurt, or you're looking to see if they can play. And that's what it is. I think you get an idea of, maybe not a full idea, but kind of, okay, who's Spencer Rattler? We get an idea. Although on a good team, he'd be better, like most quarterbacks are. It's just like Shough would. But now you got to find out in the last half of the season which one of the two, if you are going to move forward, you're moving forward with, and if it's both, fine. But you have to, as we've discussed, you've got to find out, because you are a team that you're a bunch of players away from being a bunch of players away. Mm-hmm. You got rid of a weapon, made Seattle better. You're scrambling around to field a roster that can show up on Sundays and try and compete. We saw this past weekend, it was yawner. It was too easy. It was pitch and catch, and it was almost as if it was you didn't even have to get the jerseys dirty if you were the opponent this week. They just kind of rolled through them and did their thing. And they're a really good team anyway, the Rams. So what you're going to find out is, I guess, his mental and emotional toughness. The positive for Shough is, if he's able to have success on this roster, it'll tell you something. Matter of fact, it would probably tell you something if a quarterback had success. It was a rookie on a great roster, and you say, well, he's got great players around him. He should be successful. He doesn't have to do much. Well, he's going to have to do a lot. If I'm him, you keep battling and do it and deal with the odds and go show this team what you got without excuses and out, well, we have this guy hurt and these guys are out and this guy got traded. You treat it as if your livelihood's on the line. And for most quarterbacks, yearly young guys, it is. So And then you got to find out if you're the Saints, okay, when we hit January or when the last game's over, what are we doing in this draft? Are we going to be able to are we going to have enough assets to get what we want? And where are we going moving forward? Are we going to attack free agency, an off-season trade for a quarterback? Do we like what we got here? Because in truth, Matt, right now, even if they had Jaden Daniels on their roster, a healthy Jaden Daniels, they're not that good.
Right.
And so you wouldn't even be, we see that on a lot of rosters. You're trying to figure out, like with Dylan Gabriel in Cleveland. I mean, is it a fair test to those guys, whoever the quarterback is, because their offense is pretty putrid as well. So you really wouldn't find out much. So they need to build and get players. And then if you can get by another year with these quarterbacks and you think you can, you do it and then hop in next year. And do you think that there's a quarterback worthy of being a first-round pick, a top 5 pick in this draft? That's what other teams are going to have to look at. So it's a disadvantage, but if you're Shough, it's a great quarterbacks. I can just tell you this, Matt, to make a long story long when it's me talking about this, is you get an opportunity. Quarterbacks don't look at it like, well, I don't have guys around me. What we all think is, I'm going to fix it. Mm-hmm. And that's the approach he has to have, because if he doesn't, he won't survive the last 8 games or so.
Did you, I don't know how much you maybe got to see him. Any observations of Tyler Shough's first start against the Rams?
You know what? I thought he hung in there. He's playing uphill most of the time because, their offense makes it look pretty easy. It you know what it did, Matt? It looked eerily similar. When I say eerily, it looked similar to the offense, because I'm looking at the thing as a whole. You're getting hit, taking sacks and hanging in there and making some throws and inaccurate on others. They don't have a lot of big plays in their system. So you didn't see a lot of that. I didn't really focus too much on him and the mechanics. I was kind of looking at the survival rate of it. I really was. I watched probably 2.5 to 3/4 of it, just because I also enjoy watching the way Sean McVay goes about his business with his team, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm looking at that, quite often. So, but for me, it just in watching him, I was just kind of looking at the overall result and how we fit into what they're doing. But the truth is, if you take the quarterback out of it, the number or who the name is, and you didn't watch and you just stare at the stat line, you know what you're seeing every week? It's similar. The passing, there's not a lot of explosive plays. You're not averaging a lot of, yards per attempt. You're not dominating the run game. They're getting big plays on offense. So they've had moments, and he had a few moments. I think it's unfair and hard to judge him. I'll watch him a little closer as the season goes on, now that I know he's going to finish it out. But I didn't pay much attention to the mechanics, which I will. I was more interested in the result and how he'd get to it and if they could hang in there. When you're playing a team that's got those kind of aspirations, it's pretty difficult when you're going in undermanned.
Yeah, man, they're playing one of the best defensive fronts in football.
Yes.
With a bad offensive line and a rookie quarterback making his first start. This week they go to Carolina. For whatever look, the Panthers are 5-4. They matched their win total of a year ago. Any reason to think the Saints might put up a better fight this week, albeit on the road, Sean? And by the way, every road game they've played this year, they've lost by double digits.
Yeah, well, I'd like to think they'll put up a fight, and it also depends on the opponent and what their I think that the Carolina Panthers, now that's a team I've watched, pretty much on a weekly basis just to see their progress. They're getting better. They really, you saw last week, the way they played. And but Matt, the one reason why I never go into a game anymore saying we can sit here and say, yeah, they're going to lose by double digits again. They're not a good road team. They're not good. They're undermanned, obviously. But I watch the Arizona Cardinals team, and I see it every week. Go into, you're playing against a team, and you think, well, no way, they're not beating the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys, boy, they got to ramp it up. They're must win. And they embarrassed the Cowboys with the backup quarterback, who quite frankly should be the starter, because I'd trade Kyler Murray in the offseason in 2 seconds flat. You're never winning a championship with him. I think by Gannon naming Brissett the starter this week's a smart move, injured or not. So I see it every week, because in truth, and I've said this before, the difference between, and I know you're going to say, well, Sean, we're 5 players away from being 5 players away, but the truth is most of the time in the NFL, it's about 6 to 8 plays. You and I have talked about this, a quarterback and maybe 2 or 3 other type really good players. That's the difference in a playoff caliber team and a team that's going to pick in the top 10. That's usually the way it is. And then, they have the stupid mistakes in the execution. But there's not a huge gap because if there was, then you can't explain Cleveland beating Green Bay earlier this year. You can't explain how the Buffalo Bills got beat by the Atlanta Falcons and have finally got a quality win, then go and beat the hottest team in the world in the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, so, yeah, it tells me that they should play better because I can tell you this, Carolina is not the Rams. But I also could tell you this, if we're thinking Carolina's the Carolina team that the quarterback showed up to when he was a rookie and in his second year, I'm just telling you, it's a mistake. That team's getting better, so you're going to have to play good football because you can get curb stomped by them just as well. But this is where you find out, Matt, I don't care if it's in college or if it's the NFL. If I'm evaluating teams and I'm in that building, I'm a coach on that team, and Kellen Moore or anybody on that staff. And by the way, coaches, I'm evaluating you too, how you show up every single week and prepare and get our guys ready to prepare. Because if you're reading the headlines that say we don't have a chance anywhere we go, and that's how you're coaching in the meetings, your ass will be looking for a gig this offseason too. So you're just as much on call as the other dudes are. And I would look at it like that every day. If I'm the front office, that's the way I'm judging them. And if I'm Kellen Moore, I'm judging every single coach and player the same way. And probably harsher now. Why? It's easy to quit. When I say quit, I'm talking about it's easy to mail it in and say, let's just get through, play not to get hurt. I'm secure. I got a big bonus and I got some guaranteed money. It's easy to do that. I'm judging if that's who you are, then you're not part of what I'm doing moving forward. Because right now I'm coaching to win, obviously, but I'm coaching towards an eye towards what are we going to look like when we get a better roster? And which one of you guys was part of this that didn't have your golf clubs in the trunk in November? Because I can promise you, I've been around teams that guys have at this time of year looking and say, we got no shot. So it's survival mode, but their heads looking into the crowd and the rest of it. So I'm judging. I anticipate a closer score than you saw against the Rams. But this Carolina Panthers team with a few good breaks and a little bit of luck and some health can challenge for a wild card if they keep right, because they're in the right division to do it.
Yeah. Let me grab a break. I want to ask a follow-up, one more specifically about Kellen Moore, which is something I'm hearing a lot about now and questioning him through this 1-8 start. I'll get Sean's thoughts on that in just a second, and we'll get his thoughts on LSU, Alabama. Big challenge. Ty Simpson's playing awesome. We'll get Sean's take on the Tigers and the Tide when we come back. It's AFR.
AFR.
You want faster, more reliable internet? Of course you do. Who doesn't? Rev can give that to you. So let's Rev. You want speeds up to 5 gigs? Of course. Rev. Also, the Wi-Fi equipment is included at no additional cost when you switch to Rev. Did I mention with Rev, there's no long-term contracts either? Rev has the support of local service, 100% local service and support for 90 years. You're never going to be routed to an overseas call center. Rev is local, backed by the support of an all-fiber network, lightning fast speeds all over South Louisiana. Here at Guarantee Media, we're Rev customers. Our company, Parish Construction Roofing, we're Rev customers. For your home or your business, switch today to Rev. Go to letsrev.com.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Climb up in the loft, sit and talk with the radio on.
All right, glad you're rolling along with us here. We always appreciate our friends over at Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Bunkie and below, you want a Deere, you're going to Sunshine. Visit sunequip.com, sunequip.com, title sponsor of our Tuesday shows. And on Tuesdays, we visit with Sean Salisbury here in Hour 3. Hey, man, I want to talk LSU, Alabama in just a second, but the Saints at 1-8, obviously things aren't great, and they're just not a talented football team. At what point do you look at Kellen Moore and really the inability to be competitive? I struggle, Sean, to know what's fair to judge a rookie head coach, leadership, motivation, game planning, all that stuff, when you're seemingly at such a talent disadvantage every week. Oh, Sean, you're muted. Sorry.
Maybe I get rid of the mute thing. I didn't want to hear my dog bark during the commercials. So,
it's all good, man.
Yeah, I think it's a phenomenal point and question. From our vantage point, we're going to judge with the naked eye or watching tape of their team and how they're playing. You know, I know people say, well, are they playing hard form? If they're not playing hard form, that's a problem. But I know one thing, as a coach, you should never have to coach effort. But when they've checked out on you, that's a part of effort. You know what I'm saying? When I'm on the field, you're out there playing. My job's not to get you to play hard. My job's to get you to play smarter. My motivation's temporary. That discipline's permanent. I got to get you to understand that as a coach. All those little intricacies that go into it, that front office, ownership, GM, the rest of the people that are paying him have to judge. But from our vantage point, I get it, not competitive. So we're going to look at it like, damn, they're not competitive. They're not physical. I know their roster's limited. So we tendency to give a guy a hall pass on that from a national standpoint. But local, it's more, man, we are dialed in and it's more focused because, well, you want to win. Now, I'm not under the belief that, the second somebody starts losing, you fire them. I think when it comes to quarterback replacement and coach replacement, we expect greatness way too soon because we compare everybody to Saban and Patrick Mahomes, depending on who you are.
Right.
And I think it's wrong. But inside the building, knowing, and from our, Matt, you're there, but I'm not sitting, and I know I say this often, but I'm not sitting in meetings. So I try to be fair both ways. Yet if I see guys, jumping off sides all the time and penalties and late to positions, and meaning late to their position if they're supposed to be in cover 2, getting to your half the field, or not getting on the field, 10 guys on the field, all those stupid things, to me it starts to say, is this what you're allowing in practice? If that's what you're allowing in practice, I look back to the head coach because you're allowing your guys to teach it on the practice field, because if you're not stopping it, you're allowing it. And that's where all that stuff comes in. The result, listen, I think we got to look at, even if you're the front office or anybody else, you have to look at, well, listen, he's playing shorthanded. We haven't given him a cupboard. The cupboard's damn near bare. But what are you getting out of that? What do we ask our quarterbacks to do, Matt, everywhere we go? Elevate the room.
Yeah.
Make guys that are 5s, 7s. Make a 7 play like a 9. And you say, well, Sean, how's that possible? I don't know what's in that little cup that did you stir it up and that comes out, because if it did, we'd all bottle it up. But I know I've been on teams with players that made guys better. I like to think at times I did, but I know guys that constantly, whether you go to the Bradys, the Breezes, they just make guys elevate their game, whether it's mentally, emotionally, execution, study. When you hear guys talking about when they play with Peyton Manning, they were afraid not to be prepared. That's elevating the room because of the way he does it. So with Kellen Moore, listen, I had questions about him when he was a coordinator, and I listen, I think he's a brilliant mind. But I had questions about him when he was a coordinator at Dallas, because I thought to myself, and watching them every week, that he was coaching to be a head coach. That's how I felt. Now, it may not be fair, but from a distance, because they put up numbers everywhere. They weren't overly physical, but the Cowboys with that offensive line, when they had it, he had carte blanche, right? But at times I thought, are you coaching to win this and to do this because you're going to be the coordinator, treat it like you're going to be the coordinator forever because that's your job? Or are you coaching to be a head coach? I know that sounds, well, Sean, what do you mean? I mean, are you coaching for numbers as opposed to get me to the grit and grind that you're going to need to win if you become a head coach? And I saw in Philadelphia, he did that. So that kind of erased some of it. But look at the players he had in Philadelphia to do that. A great offensive line, great running back, hell of a quarterback, all those things. So it was easier. It's never easy, but it was easier. And listen, coaches are geniuses with great players. It's amazing how stupid they become when you don't have good players. You got to take that into account. I think, Matt, from this standpoint, you and I know how we're going to judge it, and maybe even look a little deeper because maybe we're a little closer to it. But in the building, you have to, walking up and down the halls, interviewing players, you got to find out, have they checked out? Because if they've checked out, that tells me that the respect, I don't care about liking the head coach. I care about the respect or the assistants, how they teaching it. And like I said, the coach has got to evaluate his coaches. The front office has to evaluate Kellen Moore. So are you losing just because personnel? Are you not getting better? That's my problem. Losses are going to come. Are you getting better with the personnel you have? Are they getting coached up to improve? Because really it's a bunch of individual fights in a tag team cage match is what it is. You got to win your individual fight or the tag team ain't going to work because you'll be done anyway. So is he drawing that out of his team in the meetings? Are they preparing properly? How does practice look? Behind the scenes, that's how they got to judge it. The stuff we don't get a chance to see, but we can get information from players or people who are watching. So I don't think that he has any worry of one and done unless all of a sudden he was checked out and said, I'm not doing this, but this is his first opportunity. So I know he's taking the gig serious. So they're going to have to look long and hard at him. You got to evaluate from beginning to end. Win-loss record be damned. Did we get better at any position, let alone at all of them or somewhere in between? Yeah. And if you're looking in the penalties and all that stuff continues, then you got to look to the practice field, and that's all on a coaching staff, because if you don't get buy-in, people aren't going to practice right. And if you're not getting that from them, then you have to evaluate, because it isn't in here. It's not uncommon. I mean, maybe uncommon, but it's happened where a guy will go one and he'll be done. We saw it 2 years in a row here in Houston. So he's also got to be on his P's and Q's of getting it right.
Yeah. No easy answers in New Orleans. I'd say the same thing here in Baton Rouge as well. Sean, of course, LSU is going to be looking for a new head coach. Frank Wilson's the interim. Tigers go to Alabama. It's crazy. It's LSU-Alabama week, and it's such an afterthought. Just wild, wild to think. Ty Simpson's been great. What do you think would have to happen for LSU to go to Tuscaloosa and have a chance to pull an upset?
Yeah, and you know what's interesting, Matt, about what you said? Normally LSU-Alabama, I'm setting my clock by it. And I am going to watch it, not only coming on here, but it's LSU-Alabama. Something crazy can happen. Plus, I think Alabama is turning themselves into a national title contender. I do. They're getting better. They are getting better after. And Kalen DeBoer didn't allow all the Nick Saban, all the chatter at the beginning of the year. Oh, we're already going to fire him. They've stayed the course, and he's withstood that barrage that he had to take early on. And I actually had to check before I came on just to make sure. LSU is playing Alabama this week? I had to check. So you're exactly right. And that's never an afterthought. And I know it's not there, but nationally it's like, oh, yeah, that's right. Because I am still stunned that we're in a position that when you and I started talking in August, that we are now here in a position where they're looking for a head coach. They're not a national championship team. We don't know what the quarterback's going to do. And we're looking at them as a 10-point basic dog against Alabama. Yeah. And after a Clemson game, we thought they were a national title team. So it's amazing how quickly it can change. I'll tell you what they got to do, in my opinion. Nussmeier's going to have his best game, and the defense, who is pretty good, is going to have to give a lot of different multiple looks, because the quarterback, the ball doesn't hit the ground much with Simpson. He doesn't throw it to the other team. They will commit and physically try to get after you at the line of scrimmage. Their defense, like LSU, they don't give up a lot. I think it's going to take something, we call them special teams, a blocked punt and a flipped field. They're going to have an out-of-body experience up front to make sure that the quarterback has time to deliver it. This isn't one of those. This isn't an FCS school going to Alabama. There's some pride here. Don't misunderstand me. Yeah. I know it's LSU, and it's college football, and we see it every week, just like the NFL. And so Alabama's preparing for a good LSU team. But if they both line up and play their best, Alabama's covering that spread. They are covering that spread this week. They're the better team. Quite frankly, and Nuss is going to have to play like Simpson's played. Well, I think Nuss is 12-5 interception to touchdown to interception ratio. But with that guy, he doesn't miss much. In Simpson, the ball, and they got big plays. He's efficient. He will move, and he's pretty clutch. He's got a great feel, the mental side, as does Nussmeier. But what's he, 20 against 1? So it's tough to grind it out against them, because he's not going to miss much. They're not going to give you many extra opportunities. So how do you create those? They're going to need more big plays in the offense, but they're going to need a big play, strip sack, fumble, short field, or a block punt, short field. And I would suggest a quick start so you make Alabama hopefully get out of their comfort zone if you're LSU. But if they line up, both of them, team to team, player to player, Alabama's winning this football game if they all play their best. I think it's going to take something and maybe a few special different plays, 3 or 4 of, wow, took a slant 75 for a touchdown, blocked a punt, blocked a field goal, momentum. It's 13-10 at halftime. That's what you're hoping for, because if Alabama is in rhythm, that ball's not going to hit the ground much. That quarterback's pretty damn good, and he is not only a legitimate, but maybe at the very top when we're talking about Heisman. And for a guy who's getting really a first full year of starting, he's pretty damn good.
Yeah. It's wild, man. You mentioned, like a 13-10 halftime. To show you how far we've come in such a relatively short amount of time, Sean, LSU led Texas A&M 18-14 at half. They led at half. And you go from leading at half to your coach being fired, swallowing a $53 million buyout. The AD is out. I mean, it is uncanny.
And eventually getting curb stomped in the second half.
Yeah.
Right. You are one. And I know football's a crazy game, brother. But when you have it up, you're starting to think, okay, maybe this is the turning point. And you're right. Boom, boom, boom. And here we are looking at each other thinking, if LSU, when's the last time I looked at you? We talked in all these years we do it and said, man, LSU lines up and plays a really good football game. They're going to have to play better than really good because they are overmatched against Alabama. I'm talking about to the point where it's like, ho-hum. Alabama would have to play average football for LSU to win. And we're kind of feeling that way right now. But LSU is capable. And you know what? It goes back to the pride thing. The scholarship players, these guys are on, they know what the world's saying about them. They know what the SEC is saying about them. They know what the media is saying about them. And that can go a long way. But all that's out the window once somebody punches you right in the face to start. It's time for LSU to fight back, hit back. But it's also going to take some really good finesse. You got to be physical, but you also got to be able to stick and move. And it's going to take some different type plays, home runs, and maybe a couple special teams, field changers, field flippers to do it in this game. Otherwise, I just think Alabama right now is too good for LSU. And LSU's reeling. We'll see, new coach and all that stuff, how the interim coach works. But there's a lot going on. But the players, it's your responsibility. You're going to have to live with this if you go out there and get curb stomped by Alabama for another full year. So I would suggest that you treat it as if it's a 1 versus 2 game and play like it.
He's Sean Salisbury. I'll get him at Sean Unfiltered there on Twitter. And, of course, Unpaved on YouTube. Go subscribe to the channel. Check him out every weekday. Sean, we always appreciate it, man. We'll do it again next week. Good to be talking.
Appreciate you, brother.
Just good
always,
to be talking,
thank you.
Of course. It's just good to be talking football, man, after a week, a wild week of all that's happened around here. But Sean's the best, and we appreciate his time every single Tuesday here on AFR. We're brought to you by First South Farm Credit, firstsouthland.com, firstsouthland.com. Thinking of buying land, your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. Of course, tell you all the time, man, timber property, that recreational property could be an awesome investment. Ask your CPA if that could be a great tax strategy for you, a great investment property. Have that conversation and then call First South Farm Credit. Firstsouthland.com is the website. You can find all the contact info there. Firstsouthland.com. Firstsouthland.com for First South Farm Credit. Because for 100 years, they've done one thing better than anyone: help Louisianians buy land. It doesn't matter if it's your recreational property, if it's 1,000 acres for agriculture. Maybe you're dreaming of building that home in St. Francisville, driving into Baton Rouge, building the home on the North Shore, driving into New Orleans for work each day. Maybe you want to buy 200 acres in Montana and have that ranch. They can help you do it at First South Farm Credit. Firstsouthland.com. All right, y'all, it's After Further Review. We appreciate Sean for hanging out with us. Ross Jackson was here last hour talking trade deadline. We also had Verge Osbury last hour, first interview since he was named the interim AD. We talked a lot about LSU's coaching search, and then Shay was here in hour 1 talking some Cruton. Remember, you miss anything, AFR On Demand presented by Brett Golf, podcast or YouTube. Go to your favorite podcast app or YouTube. Search After Further Review if you want the full show. You want LSU content, AFR LSU. You want Saints content, AFR Saints. It's all right there for you, always free. Okay, quick break. We'll come back. One of the things that I do want to touch on is how I think LSU can stay competitive against Alabama Saturday night in Tuscaloosa. We'll get to that next here at AFR.
AFR.
Y'all, it is time to just plant something. The directive has come from Miss Teresa over at Clegg's. It is just plant something season, y'all. And at Clegg's, they have an amazing selection right now of all those fall bedding plants for your flower bed, your patio pots. You want to add those beautiful fall favorites, the shrubs, trees. November is the best time of year with some of this cooler weather to plant trees and shrubs. So maybe you want some privacy shrubs. Maybe you put that new tree in your yard that your family will enjoy for years, decades, generations. Get by Clegg's Nursery now. Any of the 4 locations. Pretty soon, we'll switch here in a few weeks, start talking about the Christmas trees. But in the meantime, it is all about getting those fall bedding plants into your flower beds and your patio pots. So get by and see them at Clegg's Nursery.
Answer for the review. Powered by Sunshine. Your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
One more teeny weeny ride before I take her home. She thinks my tractor's sexy. It really turns her on.
All right, busy show. We'll get to Jimmy for Otterlocks here in about 10 minutes from right now. Find out what we're betting on tonight. Love telling you about Evamore, EVAMOR. I love telling you about it because I drink it every single day. Got my 64-ounce bottle right here. Drink 2 of these every single day. It's a better form of hydration. It's a healthier alternative. Maybe you're an elite athlete that needs better hydration, Evamore. Maybe you're a parent, you want a healthier option for your children, Evamore. I drink it. I put it in my Keurig at home for my coffee. Completely wiped tap water out of my diet altogether. Evamore. It's a better alternative. It's natural artesian water. Taste it side by side with whatever bottled water you usually drink and read the label. Grab whatever bottled water you usually drink. You think you're just drinking natural water. Look at the label and see what might be added or taken away from that. You're not always just drinking water. With Evamore, you never have to worry about that. EVAMOR, Evamore.com, Evamore.com. LSU hits the road to take on Alabama this week. And one of the things that the Tigers absolutely are going to have to improve on is their defensive efficiency, which in the last 2 games against Vanderbilt and Texas A&M has completely waned from what they were at the beginning of the season. As a matter of fact, Max Olson at ESPN.com today updated the stop rate rankings in college football. And LSU, which was top 5, has gone down to 20th in the country. Stop rate is a pretty obvious metric. It's what percentage of your opponent's drives are you stopping them from scoring? So that's like a punt, a turnover on downs, an interception, a turnover, something like that. So it's basically what percentage of your opponent's drives are you stopping them from scoring? And we've seen that drop, obviously, the last 2 games as LSU really struggled to get off the field against Vanderbilt and against Texas A&M. And when Frank Wilson was meeting with reporters on Monday previewing the Alabama game, he was asked specifically about Blake Baker and sort of the conversations that they're having about how to improve the defense.
He is a very, very talented coach who wants to contribute, who wants his side of the ball to excel. And here's what I've said to him. You don't have to do it by yourself. We're a team. We're 3 phases of a football team. And the things that we need to do to allow our defense to get its swagger back, let's do those things. Let's incorporate these things into a practice setting. One of the things for him was, Coach, I need to see physicality in the inside run drill, if you will. You got it. We're doing it tomorrow. All right, so we'll get a little roughed up, if you will, and play inside run offense against defense so that we're given the best sample size so we can see speed and physicality that when our defense sees it on Saturday, it's not shocking because of the look you've gotten all week has not been realistic.
Some people heard that on Monday and were sort of aghast that there isn't physicality in practice. And it's one of the really interesting things that's happened not only in college football but in the NFL, is that the rules have regulated a lot of full contact out of practice. I mean, even go back to camp. Like two-a-days are not allowed. You have to ramp up to a full pad period. You can only have so many full contact periods in given practices. This isn't any specific coach. This is regulated by the NCAA and then and obviously by the CBA in the NFL. And then you wonder why tackling has gone down and guys miss tackles and form is bad. They don't practice it as much. But I think as I start to look at this LSU defense, like it is a fact that over the first month of the season, this was one of the best defenses in the country. You have Clemson at 10 points, Louisiana Tech to 7, Florida to 10, Southeastern to 10. Then Ole Miss scored 24, South Carolina scored 10. I mean, even Ole Miss, which moved the ball and put up 480 yards, only scored 24 points. I mean, they didn't get in the end zone until inside the final 5 minutes of the first half, Ole Miss. So this defense has been really good at times. So I look and I go, all right, well, and yes, it is fair to go, yeah, well, I mean, Clemson and Florida and South Carolina, those are bad offenses. That's true, objectively. But what's changed in the last two games against Vanderbilt and against Texas A&M? Well, I think there's two things. There's two factors primarily. One is you haven't had Whit Weeks. I'm not putting it all there, but he's your emotional leader. He's the guy making all the calls. He's a great player who covers sideline to sideline. That's a really big deal. And you might be without Whit Weeks again this week. The other is Diego Pavia and Marcel Reed. You face two running quarterbacks, which continues to be Blake Baker's defensive kryptonite. Pavia, in the game against LSU, ran 17 times for 86 yards and 2 touchdowns. That is not sack adjusted, by the way. Reed ran 13 times for 108 and 2 touchdowns with a long of 41. Period. The running quarterback added a dynamic that you didn't defend. And they're two very different dynamics, by the way. Pavia's wasn't design runs naturally. It was a lot of make you miss and making something out of nothing when you were in the right defense. Very frustrating, but you couldn't get him down. Reed was the opposite of that. Reed was, they designed offensive plays around Reed running the football, and you couldn't stop it. So I look at this week, and if you're looking for a reason for optimism, functionally, Ty Simpson and Alabama offensively look way more like Cade Klubnik and Clemson than Diego Pavia and Vanderbilt or Marcel Reed and Texas A&M. I understand. Ty Simpson has been awesome this year. I do not have a Heisman vote. If I did, he would be my front runner right now. He has been efficient. He's thrown 1 interception. He completes a ton of passes. He is really good decision-making with the football, and he can make plays with his feet. He's not a great runner, but he can extend plays, avoid the rush. Just for instance, on the season, but this is the parallel. Ty Simpson on the season has run 51 times for 79 yards and 1 score on the entire season. He's not a threat to beat you running the football like Pavia and Marcel Reed were. Remember I told you Ty Simpson, 51 carries on the season, 51 for 79 yards. Cade Klubnik, 51 carries, 116 yards. They are really comparable. And if you remember that game against Clemson, Klubnik was 19 of 38 for 230 and a pick. He ran 8 times for 1 yard. His long on the game was 7 yards. That's not sack adjusted. Point being, you have a game plan that worked against this type of offense. Veteran quarterback, accurate, really good receivers, veteran offensive line, good running back. I mean, they are a more efficient and effective version of Clemson. All that to say, you've got the blueprint defensively of what to do against this team. It's what you did against Clemson. Can you execute it? And can you make a guy that's been arguably the most efficient quarterback in college football this season less efficient, like you did to Cade Klubnik all the way back on August the 30th on the road at Clemson? I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm saying the thing that's caused your defense to falter the last 2 times out, and certainly would cost you against Ole Miss as well, was your inability to stop a mobile quarterback. Well, I'm not saying he can't move, but I just showed you an 8-game sample of what Ty Simpson is like running the football. And it's the same as Cade Klubnik. And you handled that well. So, make him beat you throwing the football with 2 outstanding receivers against your secondary, which is the strength of your defense, and take a shot. See how it goes. But you got the blueprint because you've already done it once this year. All right, it's after further review. Excuse me. Let me knock out a quick break. Jimmy will be here for Auto Locks to wrap up the show when we come back here on AFR.
AFR.
We're brought to you by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com, yourgoodwood.com for Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Hey, look, if you want to feel your younger self, feel like your younger self, you need to schedule an appointment at Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Maybe you have ED. If that's the case, they got tons of treatments. They can help you. Hormone replacement therapy is a massive part of what they do. And then also, they have non-pharmaceutical options to manage so many things to help you feel your best. Gut health, anxiety, recovery. Maybe you've got aches and pains. I told you, I've been using treatment for my lower back, once-a-day injectables that are life-changing. I haven't had this much relief from my back pain for as long as I can remember. They can help. Visit them. yourgoodwood.com.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
Down the stretch we come. Final segment here on a Tuesday edition of AFR. We are brought to you by South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at southpointvw.com. Get on by, test drive one today over at South Point Volkswagen. They're open late. As we near the end of the year, it's always a great time to go make a deal, and South Point is Louisiana's largest volume Volkswagen dealer. Nobody has a better selection, so nobody can give you a better deal. And, of course, they're awesome people, and they're really fun to work with over at South Point Volkswagen. Erica and I drive Volkswagens, have for years. Just go test drive, and you'll see exactly what all the fuss is about. The style, feel, performance of luxury without the cost. And manufactured right here in the U.S. of A. as our Chattanooga, Tennessee plant. South Point Volkswagen, what's your direction? All right, let's find out what we're betting on tonight. Time for Otter Locks.
Otter Locks.
All right, time to win some money.
Presented by Total Maintenance AC Repair. Same-day service means you will never sleep hot. 480-1000. We are Total Maintenance.
I think it's safe to say that I won the bet.
Well, how about a rocking chair cover with Arizona plus the 3.5? They're an outright winner. And then the Arizona Wildcats on the hardwood, an outright winner over the Gators. We'll take it. Otter, how are you?
Ring my bell. Let's go, baby.
The only thing we didn't hit was the over in the game, but still, really good night last night.
Yeah, I hit I split on my anytime TDs. Hit McBride, didn't hit the other receiver. But hey, we're not the only ones that think that Brissett is an upgrade. Are they going to give him another start against Seattle Sunday?
They should.
With Murray, quote unquote, ailing. So yeah, so we'll see. It's to play the other guy not making all the money tells you how much better. And man, I don't know if you heard the broadcast last night, but Harrison's dad, the Hall of Famer, he let his feelings known on the how fluid the Arizona passing game is with Kyler Murray. So anyway, let's move on to tonight. Max Shin. Best bet tonight, Ohio. Bobcats minus 2.5 now.
Yep.
At DraftKings. It was 3 all day and pretty much 3 everywhere else. So that is by far the best number on the hot number of 3. I know it's not the NFL 3, but still it's a big one. I think Ohio is the best team maybe in the MAC. DeQuan Finn coming back from Baylor to the MAC where he started at Toledo. Kind of lukewarm right now. These two teams sitting on top of the standings, but we'll take the home team. Paul Stone, my podcast buddy, and I on the Bet Rivers podcast. This is his best bet tonight as well. So we're going with the Ohio U minus the 2.5 is the best bet. The other one, I'm not going to tell you it's not nearly as strong, but when it got to 10, 10.5, 11, like 12.5 now, and I'm not sure if he's not going to go to 13. At some point, I know UMass is garbage, but give me the garbage plus the points. I mean, that's just too many points for Akron to be laying. So I'll take UMass in the points there. And then college basketball tonight, we'll go at it again. We'll take the points again. Duke's got Boozer's kid. They're really, really talented, but it's very, very early in the season. You saw with all the talent that BYU has, they still struggled against against Villanova last night. And also the debut of Sean Miller as a new coach at UT. We think early in the season these teams are a little bit closer. We'll take Texas plus double digits.
Is that in at Durham, or is that a neutral site?
1 minute remaining.
Neutral site, Matt. You would ask me, huh?
No, it's all right.
I know
I was
last
curious.
night's doubleheader was in. No, I don't have it in front
All
of me.
good.
I do
No
not have
worries.
it in front of me. I think it's neutral site. I think it's neutral.
I'll check it. Where are you tomorrow, Otter?
We are at Modesto on Burbank, just off of Nicholson. It is in Charlotte.
Yep.
Neutral site.
Neutral site.
Not Durham.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Otter. Good luck.
All right, good luck.
All right, man. Have a great night. We appreciate it. Catch Jimmy and Charlie tomorrow at Modesto. All right. We're going to get on down the road. Shea Dixon, Ver Jawsbury, Ross Jackson, Sean Salisbury, all here. Many thanks to them. You miss anything, AFR On Demand, presented by Breck Golf. What a busy show. Muse, Paulie, thanks. Y'all have an awesome night. We'll see you tomorrow at 3.
After further review.
Getting on down the road, remind you about Shawbills Tire and Auto Service, ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com. Locations all over South Louisiana, and at Shawbills, they treat you like family. Name brand tires at wholesale prices, and they treat you like family. It's what they've done now since 1968 when they opened up their doors. You know, Mr. Charlie years ago created what he called the Charlie's Dozen. That's a dozen benefits extended to you and every vehicle in your family when you buy tires at Shawbills. Things like free tire rotations, free balancing, things like that, which keep you coming back. And oh, by the way, the price match guarantee. Buy tires at Shawbills. If you find those tires advertised cheaper anywhere else, they'll refund you 125% of the difference. They're just never going to be beat on price. Name brand tires, wholesale prices, they treat you like family. They've got it figured out. They've done that for more than half a century. ShawBillsTire.com. Shawbills, where we keep you rolling.